Today, we're going way beyond AI that just answers your questions. We're talking about AI that can actually achieve your goals. And you know what? This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This is the agentic revolution, and it is happening right now. So think about the AI you use every day, right? Something like ChatGPT. You give it a prompt, it spits out a response. But what if you could just give it a goal? I mean, a big, messy goal like, hey, find me the best flight and hotel for a weekend trip to Chicago next month. And instead of just giving you a list of links, it actually goes out, compares all the options, books the flight, and reserves the hotel room for you. That is the kind of leap we're about to dive into. And this is the key right here. This is not just another upgrade, it is a fundamental shift from a passive tool that just sits there waiting for your next command to an active, autonomous partner. Something that can take initiative, create its own plans, and see them through with you barely having to check in. That's what we mean when we say agency in AI. So, to really get a handle on this, here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down what makes an AI agentic. Then, we're going to pop the hood and see what makes these things tick. We'll look at where they're already making a huge impact, and then we've got to talk about the massive challenges we face. And finally, we'll look ahead at what this agentic future might actually feel like. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so what does this jump from asking to doing really look like? We're moving from an AI that just gives you information to one that takes real, complex actions in the world on our behalf. Let's break that down. So, what is agentic AI really? Well, the official definition boils down to three key superpowers. First, it understands your high-level goal. Second, it can create its own multi-step plan to get there. And third, it actually executes that plan, adapting and changing course as needed. And the kicker? It does all of this with very little handholding from us. And this comparison here, this is where it really clicks. The generative AI we all know and love is fundamentally reactive. You give it one prompt, it gives you one answer. But agentic AI, it's proactive. You give it a big, broad goal, and it just pursues it. It plans, it acts, it learns, it adapts over time. Honestly, it's the difference between an intern you have to give step-by-step instructions to and a seasoned project manager you can just hand the project to and say, make it happen. Okay, so how in the world does an AI make that jump from a simple tool to an active partner? Let's get under the hood for a second and see what components make all this possible. The best way to wrap your head around this is to stick with that analogy. Just think of an AI agent as a hyper-efficient digital project manager. It's got a goal, it's got resources, and it has a whole system for getting things done. And this breaks it down perfectly. Just like any good project manager, it has these 5 core parts. First up is perception. It has to see and understand what's going on around it. Then comes planning. That's the brain, breaking the big goal down into a checklist of smaller tasks. Memory is its notepad, keeping track of context, what it's already done and what it's learned. Execution is its tool belt. This is how it actually does things, by using apps or browsing websites. And finally, and this one's huge, reflection. The ability to look back at its own work, spot mistakes, and make the plan better. Now that we've seen the blueprint, the perception, planning, memory, all of it, let's look at how these pieces come together to make a real-world impact. Because this isn't just a concept on a whiteboard. This stuff is already being deployed out in the wild. And you can see its power in some absolutely critical industries. In healthcare, for example, these agents can create personalized treatment plans by sifting through mountains of a patient's unique data. And in finance, we're not just talking about flagging a weird transaction. These agents can spot complex, multi-step fraud patterns in real time, connecting dots a human analyst could easily miss. But maybe one of the most profound applications is in science itself. This quote really nails it. These agentic systems can act like super-powered research assistants. They can come up with a hypothesis, then go and review all the relevant scientific papers on the topic, and then even design the experiments to test that hypothesis. This could just radically speed up the pace of discovery. Okay, this all sounds absolutely incredible, but it also opens up a Pandora's box of massive challenges. We are building systems with a level of autonomy we've never seen before. So the question is no longer just, can we build it? It's, can we actually trust and control it? And the challenges are coming from all sides. Sure, there are huge technical hurdles in just making these systems reliable. But as you can see from this chart, the technical problems are almost dwarfed by the really thorny questions of ethics, security, and governance. How do you build guardrails for a technology that's specifically designed to operate without them? And this is where the conversation gets incredibly important, because these aren't just technical issues, they are deeply human ones. When we talk about accountability, think about it. If an autonomous financial agent loses somebody's life savings, who's on the hook? The user? The developer? Or does the company just get to shrug and point at the algorithm? And with fairness, an AI agent that's told to screen resumes could quietly learn and amplify the biases from decades of past hiring data, locking qualified people out of jobs without anyone ever knowing. These systems will make millions of choices a second, and making sure they're safe, fair, and aligned with our values is probably the single greatest challenge of the next decade. So, that brings us to our final section. With all this incredible potential on one side and all this very real risk on the other, what does the road ahead look like? I mean, where do we actually go from here? Ultimately, the rise of agentic AI forces us to ask a really fundamental question about our relationship with technology. Its biggest impact probably won't be just replacing jobs, but creating entirely new ways of working with these agents. So, are we just building a smarter, better tool that follows our instructions more efficiently? Or are we, maybe for the very first time, building a true collaborator, an autonomous partner that will work alongside us, shaping our world in ways we are only just beginning to imagine? The answer to that is still being written.